Welcome in. It's From The Bleachers, the podcast. Brought to you by the Fan Sports Network.
It's been a while since we've thrown in the NFL, like weeks. Yeah. It's weird because a lot of people will talk about the NFL every single day, and I get that. And maybe the last time we talked about the NFL was the Aaron Rodgers news. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, it's been pretty quiet. Not gonna lie, it's still pretty quiet, but we haven't talked about it in a while.
There's not much to talk about. You know, we could always hop on the trend of loving up on some off-season workout videos, but we don't do that here.
That's our favorite thing to do. I'm just kidding.
We don't do that.
It's not what we do. No. So because of that, though, because we're not the biggest fans of going into the off-season workout videos, let's at least take a look and talk about some of these rookie QBs, because there's expectations now, and now that they're starting to settle into some systems, we maybe have more of an idea of who they are, where they're going to be, what they're gonna, what the fit is for that team. Are they going to be a starter? Are they going to be a bench guy? What's the real plan here, right? So let's kind of dive on into it. I want to talk about some of these rookie QBs here. We'll go kind of in order of the way they were drafted. It'll make the most sense to do it that way, probably, which means we've got Cam Ward up first, Tennessee Titans. Where does he fit? The clear and obvious solution here is that he's the starter. He's going to jump into it right away.
Yeah, this is this is a kind of not a super rare case, but not as popular case of a rookie quarterback being drafted high, not first overall, but first round. In Cam Ward's case, yes, first overall, but going immediately to a bad team and starting immediately, just thrown into the fire and be like, hey, do your best, develop, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to win many games, but good luck out there, Cam Ward. And you're probably not going to look very good your first few games, and you're probably going to lose a lot, and everyone's probably going to hate you and think you're a bad QB, because nowadays no one wants to give young rookie quarterbacks literally starting their first game at the most professional league of football there is time anymore to develop, because they want you to walk out there and be as great and amazing as you possibly can be. That's not going to work out, though. So Cam Ward is going to be an unfortunate case of that, but I'm excited to see what he does in the future and hopefully brings the Titans some relevancy, because a lot of people forget that they even exist as a team.
It's true. It's true. I've seen their stadium and I still don't even remember who they are.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that they are trying to get back into being not necessarily like a force in the NFL, but they just want to get back to being relevant.
Right now, like they need some like assurance. They need a guarantee spot there. They need that young guy. Will Levis was supposed to be that, but he didn't really work out, whatever, stuff like that. They need a young guy, a young, flashy, fun guy as well, like Cam Ward, who's so much fun to watch, to bring some excitement to Tennessee, to a team that lately has been doing nothing but losing. And even when they seem to win, no one really cares about them.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, they've gone through guys like Jake Locker, Charlie Whitehurst, Marcus Mariota at the time. He was pretty electric, but he fell off a cliff. Ryan Tannehill, no one cares about Ryan Tannehill. They were winning games with Ryan Tannehill, but it wasn't because of Tannehill. It was because of Derrick Henry. It was Derrick Henry in his 2,000-yard season. Now we're here at Cam Ward after Will Levis, of course, who again didn't work out. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very telling through the first half of a season. Mm-hmm. I don't like to give a quarterback just a couple of games, because that's not enough for a rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. Honestly, even one season.
Yeah, one season is not fully
enough. So
there's a case though, like I want to talk about in the same AFC South division, like Anthony Richardson. He's on the verge of apparently being chosen over, or being have his backup QB Daniel Jones picked over him to start Week 1 and become the new Colts starter. And at this point, it might honestly be over for AR-15. And I don't want to say over as in his career is over, but he was drafted
for now.
Yeah, over for now. He was drafted purely off of raw potential, and none of that raw potential is working out.
Well, and listen,
and he's been hurt, he's been benched, he's been lazy, all sorts of things.
I have been, and this, I'm sorry to say this, guys, I have been someone who has never been a Richardson fan since his time in Florida up until he got drafted. I was just like, guys, I don't see it. I have said that since day one, that I just do not see the potential in him like other people see. He's a great guy. Like some of the stories that come out about what he does off of the football field, I'm like, this man's amazing. On the field, he's just not getting it done. And it's so frustrating. And I know he had his injuries and all of that as well, but it is frustrating when a guy who is so athletic, because that's the thing, he's an athlete. He's just not the best fit for an NFL quarterback. He worked great in college. He's just not a good fit for an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. And that's the problem you run into when you draft purely off of like raw potential.
This is what their
he has
ceiling
a
is.
high ceiling. Yeah, stuff like that.
When people say they have a high ceiling, you're not wrong.
Only guy I've seen work out with that is Josh Allen.
Yeah. Like Josh Allen was one of those where it was like, we don't know what this guy can do, but he's got the body, he's got the footwork, he's got the power. Let's see what he can do. And then, of course, he turns into an MVP. But there are just certain guys where you say, man, this guy's got a high ceiling, and then you don't know where that is. There's some guys where they say, man, this guy doesn't have a very high ceiling at all. People are saying that about Lamar Jackson. I don't know how this guy's going to fit in the NFL. Well, he goes out there and wins the MVP multiple times.
Yeah.
He
one of the best QBs of our time.
He is currently, I would say he's a top 3. Yeah. It just depends on how 100%. You interchange it. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL every single year for the last few years. So, we'll see. Going back to Cam Ward, we'll see what he does because he is going to be starting. Let's give him some grace this first year and honestly, maybe year and a half and see if he can help turn that system around. Let's move on, though, to the New York Giants. At number 25, they picked up Jackson Dart, Utah's own.
Yes, Utah's own, so we got to be rooting for him.
Yeah, there you go. Root for Dart. Well, Brian Daboll has been saying that he really wants to get a quarterback that can just move the ball. He's tired of relying on the running game. They did that with Saquon, obviously, for a long time. And so Brian Daboll wants to move the ball downfield. He's got great receivers to do so, leading with Malik Neighbors now, who was phenomenal last year. Of course, with Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, there's already 2 vets on this roster. Where does Jackson Dart really line up in the depth chart? My guess is that he lines up at 2 or 3. He's not going to be number 1. Russell Wilson will be number 1. But Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston don't have good contracts. They're not sticking around for long. So it's possible it's kind of a one and done with Wilson, and Dart comes in next season to take over. This could be kind of a love situation in Green Bay, right? Where it's just, hey, we're going to draft you really high. Just sit around for a little while and learn from these guys, and then we'll bring you in, and you can come and play ball now.
Yeah.
But I think that's how it's going to be right now. Is just let Wilson, potentially Winston, take charge. They're going to be the quarterbacks for this year in arguably the toughest division in football, and you just got to sit back and enjoy the game and enjoy New York City, man.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going to be not really a lot better, but they're going to be better than they have been recently. I think they had kind of a quiet, bit of a quote unquote underrated offseason, but again, I don't think they're going to be super fantastic or anything. And competing in such a tough division, I just don't think they're going to make much noise. So I truly think we're going to see Jackson Dart about halfway through the season. I think
it's possible.
I don't think Jameis Winston, barring injury, is going to be like selected as the starter. I think Russell Wilson's going to be out there to start the season, and then maybe when the Giants kind of flop and fall down a little bit, we'll see some more Jackson Dart. I think that's what's going to happen.
I like that idea.
But they're in a similar boat like Tennessee. They want to just get a guy, latch onto that guy, and see where it goes, because they had Daniel Jones for probably too long, and then they had Eli Manning for years, obviously, but they've also just been so irrelevant.
Yeah.
And their only thing that's keeping them relevant is the fact that they play in New York. If they weren't in New York, no one's going to talk about them. And like I said, they held on to Daniel Jones way too long, and when they did win games, it was because of Saquon Barkley. So now I hope Jackson Dart can work out for the Giants.
You know, I'm trying to think of situations around the NFL that would be similar. And the only thing I can think of is maybe like the Philadelphia Eagles, for example. They draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. It's, it's a pick that you're like, hey, we'll pick up a quarterback here. We don't need you right this second. But if you work out great for the future, we're happy to draft you high in case you do work out. And obviously it's worked out for them. They won a Super Bowl with the guy. To me, that's a similarity. It's like, we do want to draft a quarterback high because we want one for the future. We don't need you right this second, but when we do need you, we really hope you work out and you stick around for a long time. Yeah. Because I can think of almost any other quarterback in the league right now, outside of maybe like your Brock Purdy's, who were kind of a shot in the dark. Most of them are first round draft picks, right? And I mean, and not just first round. I'm talking like top 15 picks, right? I mean, you look across, it's like every single quarterback that I can think of off the top of my head, like most of them have been top first round picks, right? Very few fall. And so this is one of those situations where it's like, this guy actually, he might be a decent starter in future years to come. He just isn't going to get it right this second. Let's move on. New Orleans Saints. They go with Tyler Shuck out of Louisville, and he lucked out a lot because Derek Carr decided to retire. And so now they kind of knew that was a potential. There's a reason they drafted a quarterback so high. But now it's like, all right, there's a quarterback battle basically between Spencer Rattler and Shuck.
Oh, scary. The Saints are so scary.
I know, right? I would not be surprised to see Tyler Shuck starting.
I wouldn't be surprised either, but this guy is like a 26-year-old, going to be a 26-year-old rookie, I believe. Maybe not that old, but he is up there in age for being a rookie quarterback. No one is scared of the Saints. This is not a threatening team at all. This is not a threatening quarterback at all. That's all I really have to say. I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting week 1, just because I don't think Spencer Rattler is all that great. So Shuck is probably going to be out there starting week 1, and the Saints are going to probably be at the basement of the NFC South.
Yeah, I don't expect them to make any moves higher than where they are. If that makes sense. Like, I think what you're saying is correct. I think that
there's a reason why
a 3 to 4 win team this year.
Yeah,
in some ways,
maybe 4 to 5 ish type of thing. So not much improvement.
If there's some parity in the NFL, maybe 4 to 5.
Yeah, but one thing is, there's a reason why the Saints were looked at as like the most like undesirable location for a head coach to go, because they got so many issues there. And on top of that, their quarterback just retired out of the blue, not really out of the blue, like you said, they probably knew it was coming. He just retired, and now they have 2 very average quarterbacks, and they're in, they're stuck in the cap, all that stuff. So Saints, I don't think they're going to be a good team this year at all.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
And their 91 points last year during the first 2 weeks was an absolute fluke. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, those are the early rounders. Let's move on into the middle round guys.
Well, one guy I do want to talk about is Dylan Gabriel.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Because I really want to try to dissect the Browns quarterback room.
We'll get in there, but first we got to go to Seattle Seahawks. We're going in order. Remember this. Pick number 92 is Jalen Milroe with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Sam Darnold's going to be the starter, and Jalen Milroe is going to come in and just sit behind Darnold for a little bit. If Darnold can continue to do what he was doing with Minnesota, it's possible that Milroe might be sitting for a long, long time. And by that, I mean he might not ever really play for the Seahawks unless it's a backup position. If Sam Darnold continues to play at the level he did last year. That's a big if, because we've seen him in other teams and he hasn't done that great. And so now the big question is, are we getting the Jets, Panthers, 49ers Sam Darnold, or are we getting Minnesota Sam Darnold in Seattle? It's going to be different because they got rid of a lot of their star receivers. It's a very different look in Seattle this year. If Sam Darnold isn't working out, I would not be surprised if they try to move on from him really quickly. And so Milroe could see himself start.
He signed a 3-year deal.
Yeah, he did. But again, if it's not working out, you're going to be willing to trade that away as quickly as you need to.
Yeah, true.
So I would say the earliest we really see him is probably like next season. I think outside, barring injuries, right? I think it's possible we don't see Jalen Milroe really ever play in Seattle.
Yeah,
I think that's also a possibility.
I'm with you there. I don't know if he'll ever truly develop into like a full-fledged starting QB, so you hate to see it, but that's just what's going to happen. They do look at him as a viable, solid backup option because they did trade away their former backup, Sam Howell, to, funnily enough, the Minnesota Vikings, which is where they got Sam Darnold from as well. So he goes to Minnesota, and Jalen Milroe is the new backup. Not much to say there, though, about Milroe. I'm with you. Don't know how much we're going to see him play actually in Seattle.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on into Cleveland in general. Not just Dylan Gabriel, but we'll get into both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders because they were drafted technically as the 2 quarterbacks next to each other. Just one was at 94 and one was at 144. So let's get on into it. Technically, this is what's crazy to me. Shedeur Sanders isn't even on the Cleveland Browns depth chart right now.
Okay.
Because they have 5 quarterbacks and their depth chart goes 4 deep. So
is Cleveland going to do like, I've made this joke before and I'll do it again. Is Cleveland going to do like a bullpen type of thing?
I don't know.
I don't know why, but that wouldn't surprise me if the Browns tried to do that. I just feel like the Browns have done so many just odd things, and like some of them have worked out, like Joe Flacco as like their full-time starter, and then they go to the playoffs magically and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they've done just so many weird things, and this is weird and random, but it's not really far-fetched for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. It's true. It's weird because they have Deshaun Watson, who still out with injuries.
Yeah, he's going to be out. Yeah, he's not going to play.
I think they need to figure out a way to just get him off the roster completely. If you ask me.
Yes, that should have happened before last season.
Yeah. So then that leaves you with your starting quarterback week 1, realistically, Kenny Pickett.
I don't think it's real. I think it's going to be Joe Flacco.
See, so on the depth chart, Joe Flacco is 3rd. Here's the difference. It's
just
the difference
with the way
between,
he's been talking, I feel like he's like basically guaranteed the starting position.
It's the difference between like young and old, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and now you talk bullpen, I think they give them both a shot at some point.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
maybe,
100%.
And maybe it's just let's see how the preseason plays out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they want to guarantee anybody a job right now in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you say it feels like it through media and stuff like that Joe Flacco's the guy, I don't think they're anywhere close to deciding who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, you do have Dylan Gabriel, another one of these older rookies who has a lot of experience through college football.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the hype man and Shedeur Sanders, who everyone just wants to see how he actually does in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either of those guys are getting on the field this year.
I don't know. It's tough to tell because I don't understand this Browns like quarterback room. There is 5 QBs. None of them are true, like viable starting options. None of them are really QB1s. But then you have 2 young guys who you didn't draft very high because, rightfully so, they didn't get drafted that high, and Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. But then you also have like a million-year-old Joe Flacco, and then you have Super Bowl winning champion Kenny Pickett as well.
Yeah.
And then you got Deshaun Watson, who, let's just not talk about him. He's hurt. Doesn't matter. Whatever. So it's down to basically those 4 guys. And if I had to guess, I think it's going to be Joe Flacco. However, I think very, very quickly, knowing how trash that team is going to be, he's going to be taken out of there. And we're not. I actually think Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's going to be like one of the last options because I think if Joe Flacco is starting, they want to take him out and see Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders.
See, and I just think that they want to try to win games. Like, I feel like they really want to try to win games, and so
they're not going to though.
I feel like it's all going to go down to the quarterback battles in camp, in practice, and preseason. And so whoever does best. If Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur is better than Kenny Pickett, then yes, they'll go with them. But if Kenny proves himself to be better than those guys, then they'll go with Kenny Pickett. Mm-hmm. I think we just don't know.
Yeah.
I think we could throw out all day long.
I'm not a Browns fan,
but so it's just tough.
It's not like I've heard like a bunch of news about their plans for in Cleveland, but I like other than that, like I honestly have not heard anything. Like I haven't heard like we're leaning more this way and stuff like that. So they're keeping it seemingly pretty private.
Keeping it close to the chest for sure. So, all right, let's go to, as we are moving on from them, some late rounders. We'll go through these real quick because I don't care about these so much. Kyle McCord with the Eagles. Good for you.
Yep.
You get to go join your competition of Tanner McKee and Dorian Thompson-Robinson as Jalen Hurts backup. That's what you get. Mm-hmm. Will Howard is a little more interesting with the Pittsburgh Steelers because of Aaron Rodgers coming in now and for sure taking over the starting position.
And I believe Rodgers has said that he is willing to mentor Will Howard.
Yeah, and I think that he understood that when he took the job because Will Howard beat him to Pittsburgh, right? This isn't like a situation where you have Jordan Love coming in after you've been in Green Bay for a decade, right? This is the difference of Will Howard comes in and then months later, we finally get to see Aaron Rodgers join the club, and it's like, okay, we know you're going to be QB1, but you also have a rookie QB behind you. Mm-hmm. And I think he's at that point of his career where he's just like, I don't mind being a mentor. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Mm-hmm. So Will Howard, I think, is still riding a very big high from his college football career. He very well could be QB2 behind Aaron Rodgers. And at his age, it's very possible to see Aaron Rodgers going out at some point.
Yep.
So,
and we get some Will Howard action.
I would expect to see Will Howard play, even though he was drafted 185th. I think we see him this year at some point. I really do. Riley Leonard is with the Colts. That's another interesting one because we talked about
in Indiana.
Richardson. We talked about Daniel Jones, and now you got former Notre Dame / former Duke player Riley Leonard coming in. I think it's possible we even see him this year.
Yeah. Depending on how bad AR-15's shoulder injury is and how
if
Daniel
Anthony
Jones
Richardson
performs.
is not back, and if Daniel Jones just is horrible, then it's possible Riley Leonard gets a few snaps. I don't expect him to start any games, by the way, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we see him if someone gets a little banged up, and so they got to bring him in real quick. I would expect that. So, Houston Texans picked up Graham Mertz. Cool. Fun for you. Cam Miller going to the Raiders. They're nice. Cool. Perfect. 49ers, they pick up Curtis Rourke. Nice. Quinn Ewers goes to Miami. This one was
another
the
interesting
surprising one because he fell so far back.
Yeah, this was an interesting one for sure.
He's going to be third in the lineup now, behind, of course, Tua and then Zach Wilson, who moved over from Denver, and then now Quinn Ewers. Arguably, of that group, that's a decent quarterback room, I would say. Like, as far as backups go, Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers as backups to me, I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good backup. Yep.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. As long as Tua, doesn't get his head hit off of him like he's been doing for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
This is a pretty solid backup QB room, and there's always a possibility that Tua could get another concussion just because he has had such a bad history.
He was okay last year. It was the year before that, 2 years ago, that was really bad.
But still, once you get like multiple, as many as he's had, you always got to look out for the future. Yeah. So, he could drop like a fly at any second if he gets hit too hard or something like that. And that's not a shot or anything. That's just like legit a thing.
That CTE is going to be
not
eating
fun.
At you.
Yeah, not fun at all. So I like that QB room, and Quinn Ewers to Miami. I like that as well. And I was with you during the draft. Pretty surprising personally to see him fall that far down.
Yeah. So that's how everything's set up right now. That's the expectations at this point, as we are just a few months away from the start of the NFL season again. So pretty exciting stuff, man. Yes,
definitely. This is where we start hearing more about, like who's going to be starting week 1, OTAs and stuff like that. So this is the boring time for the NFL. Let's not try to hype it up or anything.
We're not going to sugarcoat it.
No, we're not going to sugarcoat it. This is definitely boring for the NFL, but it is cool to see the rookies get some action.
Well, that does it for us with From the Bleachers. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss another episode, and feel free to leave us a review as well. Make sure to listen into the radio show from 4 to 6 live on the Fan Sports Network. You can listen to it live at thefansportsnetwork.com as well as through the Fan Sports Network app. Until next time, we'll see you.